about its probe of Gates.
That's Fox's Chad Pergram. President-elect Trump also picking former acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker as his ambassador to NATO. America's listening to Fox News.
The news is brought to you by John the Roofer. Years, they've been the leader in the residential home improvement community in both Worcester County and Providence County. Residential homes with shingles, flat roofs, metal, standing seam, copper roofs, and other home remodeling and repair are all welcome at John the Roofer. Call John the Roofer today. Get a free quote, professional service and results that will stand the test of time every time. They're insured, experienced, and they put your needs first. John the Roofer at 866-906-ROOF. 866-906-ROOF.
Enjoy sitting down with your family for an Italian home-cooked meal? A trip to Ziti's is just like that, every time. The smells and tastes of true time-tested Italian recipes, the best in Italian cuisine, served by some of the nicest people you will ever meet. Ziti's fine Italian cooking is a favorite in Metro West at Turnpike Road in Westboro. Every meal at Ziti's is one you will remember. Head on down to Ziti's, all the best food Italy has to offer, right here in your backyard.
It was another quiet night at the office. No phone calls, no messages, nothing but junk mail and overdue bills to keep me company. Seems nobody wants to hire a real private dick anymore, a professional like me. A guy who does the detective work nobody else wants to do. A guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics.
We are the show. You want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks. Welcome.
I think I got a button on there. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and you can join the conversation for the next hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. That will get you into the studio for two-way talk and conversation today. Flying the board back at HQ, broadcasting from the Cameo studios. That does mean the Cameo cam is on. You can listen as well as watch the streaming of the show on my Facebook page, LinkedIn, as well as X, formerly Twitter, Twitch TV, Facebook. I don't know if I said that already. Just follow me at Joe Mangi Show, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show for all of that. The station does, of course, stream on the TuneIn app. So it means you can get that app. It takes seconds to download it. If you don't have it, do me a favor, hit the like button so we know you're there, and then we're very easy to find for you. And, of course, we have this great feature on WCRNradio.com. It's called the replay link. And if you go to our page, WCRNradio.com, and you can look any show up by the host or by the time, and hit that replay link, and it will open a page and populate the very latest show, and then you can go backwards. So if you missed it earlier in the day or even the day before, even a couple days, you can go back and listen to it. Hey, guess what? They're also downloadable. So you can actually download that and then have it with you if you wanted to listen on a trip or something like that. All right, all good information. As I said, today is Flying the Board back at HQ. He'll take your calls and get you set up and into the studio for two-way talk and conversation. Thank you, Ted. All right, so good morning, New England, and welcome to the show. Now, we're here, and this is where common sense gets a long overdue moment in the spotlight. Your friendly neighborhood constitutionalist here, lover of liberty, and as always, a firm believer that 2 + 2 still equals 4, no matter what modern math the left tries to sell us on that. So let's dive right into the madness of today's headlines, because, folks, it's getting hard to keep up with the level of absurdity being pushed as normal. Look, we've got Democratic mayors and illegal immigration. And governors, too, by the way, in these blue states. So let's start with a reality check for those Democratic mayors rolling out the welcome mats for illegal immigrants, like they're hosting the world's worst Airbnb. Now, former ICE director Tom Homan, who's being nominated or suggested to be the border czar, exactly what that job description is. You know, I never really learned about that. But he's being nominated by Trump for this position. And he's telling it straight out, and he really is giving them a reality check and saying to the Democratic mayors rolling out the welcome mats for these illegal immigrants, like they're hosting, the Airbnb, as I said. he's telling them, look, it's a felony to harbor and conceal illegal aliens. That's not a policy suggestion. It's actually the federal law. So why do these mayors think that they're above it? If you look at Title 8, Code 324, subsection III or 3, it is a felony. And whether it's Michelle Wu or our governor saying they're not going to cooperate, they don't. It's not like they have a say in this, by the way, folks. They just don't. It's federal law. Now, they can make it difficult by not sharing information and things of that nature, but they can't stop them from doing their job. Now, they could, because under the Biden administration, they were just allowed to declare themselves a sanctuary city, which isn't a real thing, by the way. There's no mechanism for that. So he's telling them, look, get out of the way. And hey, mayors or other people could find themselves arrested because it is a felony to aid and abet them. So it's like watching someone dig a hole, fall into it, and then demand a ladder made of taxpayer dollars. Homan said it best. If these officials don't want to help federal agents do their jobs, they should get out of the way. But no, they're doubling down and making it harder for ICE to do its job and putting more agents and innocent Americans at risk by doing that. This isn't compassion, it's chaos. It's prioritizing political points over public safety. Case in point, the horrifying murder of Laken Riley by an illegal immigrant, a member of a violent gang, no less. She was 22 years old, full of promise, and brutally taken from this world because of policies that ignore the rule of law. The Democrats keep saying they care about women's safety, just not apparently if the threat comes across the southern border. I was listening to the impact statements before coming on air from this sister who just referred to him as inhuman, a epitome of evil, a monster. I was listening to the roommate, and she talked about what a wonderful person Laken was. All right, moving on. Trump's legal battles and the Constitution. Over in the courtroom circus, Trump's legal team is going full throttle, demanding the immediate dismissal of that hush money case. And frankly, they've got a point. All right, can we all just take a moment to appreciate the absurdity of prosecuting a sitting president-elect over payments from years ago, payments that, let's be honest, wouldn't have raised an eyebrow if it were anyone else. And also, payments that was entered into the ledgers by a bookkeeping person somewhere in the Trump organization. This wasn't a big conspiracy. And if you remember back to that court case and in the discussion about it, first it should have been a campaign expense, then it shouldn't be. And because he didn't put it as a campaign expense, they had to twist legal theories and try to bump it up into an area like a federal area, which of course the state prosecutor doesn't have the authority for that. So look, it's raising a lot of eyebrows, right? And if it wasn't anyone else. The Democrats and their allies love to talk about preserving democracy, but nothing screams desperation like trying to jail the guy who just won the presidency again. The Manhattan DA's office wants to freeze the case until 2029. Why not just admit this was a political theater from the start and save everyone the money and trouble? Think about that. And he's, by the way, not a convicted felon until a sentence has been passed down and then it's recorded. Only then are you actually a convicted felon. But imagine putting forth a president of the United States who has to deal with world leaders as a convicted felon over his head, or this case hanging over their head. This is idiotic. The Supreme Court has to step in here and put a stop to it, like they did with Florida and the Chads and the counting, right, until they flipped it. It has to stop. This is ridiculous. Folks, Democrats, it didn't work. And the people clearly don't give a crap because they realize it's all political theater. They realize that they are, excuse the pun, trumped up charges. Speaker Johnson and bathroom sanity, by the way, right? Mike Johnson's latest move, barring biological males from women's bathrooms in the Capitol. Cue the outrage machine now, folks. The left is already painting this as some kind of human rights violation, but let's call it what it is. It's just common sense. When did we decide that safeguarding the privacy and safety of women was optional? If you've got a Y chromosome, you use the men's room. It's not complicated, folks. But apparently in Washington, the simplest truths need to be spelled out in policy form. And we've got the FEMA texts in disdain for Trump supporters. Telling you, folks, I have been telling you for a long time, this is a lot bigger story than it's being given attention from the mainstream media and those cable networks. Yeah, the ones are up for sale because their ratings are in the hopper. And speaking of Washington, now did you catch Representative Jim Jordan grilling FEMA over the infamous text message instructing workers to avoid homes with Trump signs? Apparently, if you live in a pro-Trump household and a hurricane wipes out your town, FEMA might just skip your street because nothing says public servant like playing politics with disaster relief. And Jordan hit the nail on the head when he compared this to Peter Strzok's, remember him, the infamous Walmart comment, the disdain. There's a stain, excuse me, I'm sorry, I got a little frog in my throat, folks. The disdain these bureaucrats have for everyday America is staggering. The message is clear. If you think differently, you're not just wrong, you are subhuman. But we have gets in the never-ending smear machine going on. I told you I wasn't totally thrilled with him as a pick. But now that I'm finding more and more out, again, a lot of things are very suspicious and don't add up here. Every week, there's a new bombshell allegation, and every week it crumbles under scrutiny. The latest claims from a hacker who conveniently found damaging testimony against Gates. Sounds legit, though, right? Perfect timing. The DOJ investigated these accusations for 3 years and found nothing credible. But that doesn't stop the left from trotting out the same tired stories. Why? Because Gates isn't just a Trump ally. He is a fighter. Remember his performances on the floor. And in Washington, that makes you a target. So here's the takeaway, folks. Whether it's lawless mayors, weaponizing prosecutions, or bathroom battles, the left's playbook is all about control. Controlling the narrative, controlling the law, and ultimately controlling you. But there's good news. The Constitution isn't a suggestion. It's the foundation of this great republic. And as long as there are patriots willing to stand up for it, we'll be just fine. Stick around because we've got plenty more to unpack today. As always, your calls are welcome. So let's talk about the issues that matter to you most, to you. All right. This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show, where common sense is always in style. And we're going to take a break here in a moment, so don't go away. We'll come back on the other side as we take our very first break on the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti. There's more straight talk coming your way on WCRN 830 AM Radio Central. And don't forget, we are live streaming as well on my Facebook and Twitter account. View it. You can always watch it on Rumble, Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile. Most of you, according to the analytics, watch it on Facebook. And it's also now streaming on my Facebook, but you can also go to WCRN 830 AM Facebook page. You can watch it there as well. And do me a favor, hit the like button. We want more followers. This is a new revamped page, folks. So if you could do that. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. We'll be back in 2 in 10, folks.
Looking for guidance as you face a future on Social Security? It's hard to figure out on your own, but MedicareAdvisors.com is a completely independent insurance agency specializing in Medicare insurance planning. We work with the top insurance companies so we can offer our clients the best coverage for them. We design plans with a focus on low costs, which we combine with personalized insurance advice aimed at helping our clients make better informed decisions. Russ Swallow is a certified senior advisor and a licensed insurance advisor. He's been helping clients with their health insurance needs since 1970. and after a failed attempt at retirement, he created the Medicare Advisors in 2014. Russ concluded that since Medicare is health insurance, he might as well put his almost 50 years of health insurance experience to good use, as 75,000 people reach age 65 in Massachusetts every year, and they can use some help. Call Russ today at 508-831-0805. Put his years of personal experience to work for you as you try to unravel the complexities of Social Security.
Those things we most cherish are all put at risk through the improper disposal of mercury in everyday items. Fluorescent lamps, thermometers, thermostats all contain mercury. Mercury Recovery Program is designed to assist your community in the safe disposal of this heavy metal. For more information about where to dispose of these products, contact your local Board of Health, Department of Public Works, or visit our website at keepmercuryfromrising.org. Working together, we can keep our environment safe.
Attention all contractors. The Massachusetts Mercury Management Act makes it illegal to improperly dispose of old thermostats in the trash. They contain mercury that can be harmful to human health and the environment. Building and HVAC contractors, plumbers, and electricians, please properly dispose of all mercury thermostats. Contact your local health or public works department for information on where to safely dispose of thermostats in your community. Visit online, keepmercuryfromrising.org for details. Brought to you by Win Waste Innovations. Performance for the planet.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second segment of the Wednesday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN, reminding you can listen at, well, of course, by tuning into AM 830, but also on the TuneIn app, because we do stream like thousands of other radio stations on the TuneIn app 24/7. And my show particularly, you can also watch as it streams from the studio on Facebook, both my page and the station's page, my X account, LinkedIn profile, Twitch TV. They're all over the place. So click it on and say hi. All right, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. And don't forget, our text line is up and running at 617-297-8388, 617-297-8388. So this whole Jose Ibarra found guilty by the judge. He opted out of the jury trial and had the judge. And of course, I think I have to go back and look. I think that he was 11 minutes or 15. It was a ridiculous quickly turnaround. Of course, he's guilty of sin. This woman, she had like the Fitbit watch thing on, so they could actually, it recorded heartbeat and all that information. And for 18 minutes, this woman fought for her life. But she was fighting for her life. And she had called the 911, so there's also that sound, the audio of this taking place. It's horrible. Probably in way too graphic detail to talk about it on the air. You can go read the stories. And that's impact statement stuff going on right now, so I really don't want to get that far into it. We know what happened, and we know why. Bill Clinton, he did it again yesterday and again today, admitting that these things, the crime is out of control because of the border and the policies. There is absolute a direct correlation and connection between the policies that allow this to happen. And this Jamoke was flown here. Your tax dollars flew this POS into the country, first New York, and your tax dollars put them up in a nice, well, they used to be really nice hotels, and fed them and clothed them and gave them expense money. Yes, all that. And this is what he did to one of your citizens. So the story continues to unfold, and it's coming out. So we'll talk more about it as it goes. But look at this whole Trump border czar thing with Tom Homan. And it is about time, because we knew this was coming. Let's not forget that this is a situation that Trump just didn't win. He didn't get 272 electoral votes. He got 312. He won the popular vote by millions of people. I know there's a talking Jamoke over on CNN who gave us a talking down to not to use the word landslide. It doesn't apply. Actually, it does. It's the definition of a landslide. And when a landslide comes with the margins like this, popular vote, electoral vote, and pretty good success down ballot, considering the Republicans now control the Senate, the House, and the Oval. Don't you think American people are saying, we need these policies? We need what he's talking about. I'm not with her. Because A, she isn't saying anything, but we know from her past, when she did say things, exactly what she thinks. And that tells us what she's going to do if she was to get in the Oval. Like paying for transgender surgery for illegal inmates or illegal aliens who go into prison here. Now, that was probably one of the most effective commercials in the campaign, when Trump's people showed her in an interview saying that, how proud she was as the attorney general to make sure that every transgender person in the prison system would get the surgery if they wanted it, ending with, she's for them, I'm for you. It turned out, as we do the postmortem and we analyze the campaign, that the whole transgender issue thing played a lot bigger role, I think, than anyone thought it was going to do. But this whole time under this administration, the Biden and Harris administration, they've permitted not only the policies, but they've allowed these governors and these mayors to do this. All of these people that we're talking about, folks, they all, when they took their oath of office, it's all pretty much the same oath where they say to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies, foreign and domestic. Yet none of these mayors or governors who are claiming to be sanctuary cities and claiming to protect their people, whatever the hell that means, and fight this administration are in absolute violation of that oath. Do they not know? Can someone please point out to them? Again, we're back to the federal law, Title 8, Code 324, that it is a felony to harbor or conceal an illegal alien. They have broken the law. Hellman's response to the question about separating families was absolutely priceless. Of course, there's a way to avoid that. You deport the whole family. People are separated from their children who break the law every day. People are separated from their children on accusations of not being a good parent. That happens every day, too. So for Tom Homan to come out with this warning and just say, if you're not going to help, get out of the way. Because the alternative of not getting out of the way is ending up in bracelets too. He dropped the hammer on these Democrat mayors and other local officials who are planning to harbor illegal aliens, and that's what they're doing. Like the judge here in Massachusetts, who had the bailiff take the felon, the criminal that she knew there was an ICE hold on, and they were out because she wouldn't let him in the courtroom. They were out waiting for him to come out, had the bailiff take this guy through a secure court area out the back door. She should have been arrested. No, but she did get suspended and all that, but quietly, she was reinstated with back pay. So Homan warned state officials that it is a felony offense to do this, to obstruct. Any of these agents who are working to deport illegals. And as Trump's new border chief, right, who previously served as acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, issued the warning during Tuesday's interview with Fox. He's laying it out there, folks. Homan said, well, first of all, if they don't want to help us, get the hell out of the way. We're going to do it. That's the key, right? We're going to do this. So to the mayors, including Mayor Wu, Governor Healy, why are you protecting people who are criminals, especially those who have committed horrendous crimes? Look, there are 1.4 million illegal aliens in the country, and technically they're not illegal in this sense. Bear with me. They're not illegal because they've had their hearing. So we've acknowledged them here. The Border Patrol has a record of them. ICE knows who they are, and they've seen an immigration judge, but the judge has issued a deportation order. They're not citizens, they're not green card or anything, but because of the fact that they've gone through the asylum process, they're here, not really illegally at this point. But the point is, they have 1.4 billion. Wow, with billion come from 1.4 million, 1,400,000 illegal aliens have been heard by a judge in deportation orders issued, but they're still in the country. So 1.4 million people who made their claim, right? They had literally had their day in court to try to convince a judge that they need asylum. Now, that's a very hard thing to do when you've gone to, you've traveled through 2 or 3 countries to get here. Well, you really weren't coming from oppression somewhere or danger, right? Especially if you were living in another country other than your country of origin for 10 years. And you chose the time to seek asylum in the United States under the Biden administration. So they're not getting it. So 1.4 million people already have been told to leave the country and they haven't done it. So this whole deportation thing is going to happen with those people first. But I believe, because I think Tom Homan and staff can do more than one thing at a time, those people obviously need to be tracked down and deported. But it's the criminals, the people that we know have gang affiliations, who have committed crimes in other countries, who have committed crimes here. That's going to take years, at least a couple years, to get rid of the 1.4 and then go after all the criminals. I know they tried to spin this, and they're talking about they're going after grandmothers. Unless your grandmother is packing an AK-47 and running a MS-13 chapter, no. There's so much bottom of the barrel to get out before they get to that. And this is not on precedent. Let's not forget that Barack Obama deported more than Trump did. And there is precedence in our history under Eisenhower with he deported 1.5 million. Now, if you take the population of that time versus today, that would be the equivalent of about 5 or 6 million people today. So we have done mass deportation in this country. It's not like there isn't a precedence for that. And it's not like we don't have the ability now, and we're against the clock. But what's interesting is Texas governor, 1,400 acres. I'll talk about that on the other side of the break. Really dry mouth today, so I apologize for having to keep taking a sip of water, folks. But you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000 for the remainder of the hour. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and this is AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. We'll be back in 2 in 10.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. retirement is within reach.
I'm meteorologist Sherry Spear, and here's the latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. We've got more mid and upper 50s with sunshine this afternoon. We do have a concern for brush fires and smoke continuing in impacted communities, but there's rain relief on the way. Rain moves in tomorrow morning, continues through the day on Thursday. It's going to be a soggy day with highs struggling to even hit 50. Friday, some scattered showers expected, mostly in the afternoon. I'm meteorologist Sherry Spear, and you can hear Boston 25 live for the Morning Drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
Shop local and listen local. Live and local radio every day on Radio Central, 830 WCRN.
Looking for guidance as you face a future on Social Security? It's hard to figure out on your own. The MedicareAdvisors.com is a completely independent insurance agency specializing in Medicare insurance planning. We work with the top insurance companies so we can offer our clients the best coverage for them. We design plans with a focus on low costs, which we combine with personalized insurance advice aimed at helping our clients make better informed decisions. Russ Swallow is a certified senior advisor and a licensed insurance advisor. He's been helping clients with their health insurance needs since 1970. And after a failed attempt at retirement, he created the Medicare Advisors in 2014. Russ concluded that since Medicare is health insurance, he might as well put his almost 50 years of health insurance experience to good use, as 75,000 people reach age 65 in Massachusetts every year, and they can use some help. Call Russ today at 508-831-0805. Put his years of personal experience to work for you as you try to unravel the complexities of Social Security.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Wednesday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and you can join the conversation for the remainder of the hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Our text line is up and running at 617-297-8388, 617-297-8388. And that appears on the screen in the studio in real time, and we try to include your text and your comments in the conversation. I know sometimes people can't always call in if you're driving at work or something, but it's a way to try to participate in the show as well. And before we go to the phones, I just, so going into the break, I started to get into this Texas situation. Now, Governor Abbott has been, let's face it, he has been fighting Joe Biden's administration and the feds during the whole administration. I remember the barrel things in the water and clearing that island, and then think about this. The Biden administration, the DOJ, or rather immigration, they're suing the state for actually following the law. It's like the judge in Pennsylvania who said, hey, put those illegal aliens who aren't eligible to vote back on the ballot. What the hell are you thinking? So the bottom line is Governor Abbott offers Starr County Ranch to Trump for mass deportation plans. Texas Land Commissioner Don Buckingham said the state's recently purchased a 1,400-acre ranch, and it could be used as a deportation hub. So that, because it's Abbott in Texas who's doing exactly what he should be doing, and that is following the law and then assisting. He has set the tone to the cartels and the coyotes that Texas is not the place to come. And when he started cracking down and putting up these fences, and remember the barbed wire, and then he was ordered by the court to take that down. This is stupid. By the way, I know it doesn't hit the news every day. A lot of people, meaning these people who are illegally trying to come in, they perish in the water. Those that make it to the actual border, it's so dangerous to even encourage this. And like Joe Biden said in the debate, first debate for president when he won, come on in. Yes, we're going to make sure you're taking care of it, and you encourage them. These people are taking their lives in their hands when they go through these coyotes. They're often beaten and robbed. Women are raped. They've got the rape tree. It's not a good thing. That's not. We have 147 points of legal entry. We do over 800,000 immigrants are let in legally. There's a legal way to do it. Just do it that way. And yes, I admit, at the same time that happens, we have got to streamline the immigration policies. We have to make it easier to go through the process. But if you are a law-abiding citizen from wherever you come from, and you've proven yourself to be able to, exist and behave in polite society, and you have no record, and you have some kind of skill, and you're willing to come here to get a job, pay your taxes, follow the laws, register and insure your car, in other words, assimilate and act like another citizen, come on in. Please come on in. That is what we're all about. And stop pretending that alien and illegal alien are the same thing, or migrant and illegal migrant. They're not. You couldn't be further apart. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. I see the viewer numbers on the streaming here has gone up on Facebook quite a bit. So we can you can go to my Facebook page or the station's Facebook page. I'm Joe Mangiacotti Show, or WCRN 830 AM. And of course, on my X account, if you'd like to watch the streaming to listen to the show. Let's go to the phones. Ken is waiting patiently. Hey, Ken, what say you?
Hello, Joe. Have you noticed the profile of the elected Democrats who are saying they're going to not cooperate with ICE? We have the ones that we know about locally, Mayor Wu, Governor Healy, and there's Governor of Arizona, Hobbs, and I've also heard the Mayor of Chicago, Johnson. You notice
Johnson.
They all check at least one box. They all have the victim class of either being a woman or black or, whatever victim class you want to choose. That's what Democrats use in confrontation of a situation like this, because it fits into their victim oppressor, a hierarchy of intersectionality game that they'll always play from now on, the rest of our lives, well beyond. And we just have to point out how wrong they are in the game that they're playing.
Ken, on that note, right? Because I saw Hobbs, the clip of her, I don't know if it was, I think it was earlier today, talking about what is this we're going to protect? It's quite the opposite. You are not protecting your actual constituents. And that also bothers me. When you see AOC, remember, she would be yelling and defending, and I got to take care of my constituents. First of all, if they're illegal, they're not citizens, and they can't vote. They're actually not your constituents. You get that, right? And then they're saying we're going to protect them. Exactly what are you protecting from? You understand they're actually criminals. And what about protecting the actual citizens of your city or your state? Like from what happened to Laken Riley. I think they're just absolutely upside down and confused on this, Ken. I cannot follow the thought process.
No. They're not confused. They know what they're doing. That it's deliberate. It's their mindset, and they're never going to change from it. And in her case, it's amazing. It's not. Nothing of this is amazing. I mean, big swing in that state 2 weeks ago, where I believe between 6 and 7 points that President Trump won the state.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming she's looking to run for re-election, even though she really doesn't say or do much of anything except for things like this. But she is totally willing to thumb her nose at the voters, and I don't know, somehow she thinks she might win again.
Okay, now Hobbs, remember, she was Secretary of State, right? Remember that whole thing? That was a fishy election there because, first of all, folks, she was Secretary of State, which means her job as secretary was to actually run the election. So she's running the election that she's a candidate for the governorship in. She doesn't recuse herself, which she should have done, and let the deputy or assistants, run it and be hands away. Just for the appearance, She should have done that. And then that was the election, right? 2 years ago, that when people went to vote, and it turns out happened to be majority of Republicans, the machine wasn't working. Remember, it was kept switching and they couldn't get it to work. So they said to them, all right, we've made arrangements. You go to this other polling location and vote there. So they left. They left that polling place where the machines had trouble. They went to the other one. And when they went to vote there, they said, you already voted, and wouldn't let them vote again. That was just very right. And then recently there was the aide leaked the conversation between her and the AG about the information. If it get out, they're screwed. Did you catch that story?
I think so, but it just adds to they don't care what they get caught with. They don't care if the public.
Well, that's
hates
because
their
there's
policy.
no consequences.
They're totally intent on it.
That's the bigger picture here, Ken, right? Folks, where are the consequences for all of this? Where are the consequences for the election board person in Pennsylvania saying the other day, I know this is breaking the law. I know I'm defying the court order, but I'm doing it for them to pay attention. Well, what about the FEMA people, right? This is, I'm telling you, that story is the tip of the iceberg. You're going to find that this was the climate, this was the attitude throughout agencies, and not just FEMA, but in other agencies, that it was okay to do that. So where are the consequences? People have to start losing jobs, not the scapegoat, that Marnie Williams that they let go. And she's gone on several shows, Ken, and she's like, what are you talking about? This, I'm just putting in that chat memo that she sent out what the supervisors told me. And if you look at the copy of it, I think I put it on my Facebook page, you'll see, the memo to the field people, and it starts with, hey, stay hydrated, drink plenty of fluids, avoid all homes with Trump signs, a good way to, it was just so casually mentioned, slid right into it, and nobody raised an eyebrow. So the bigger picture, I think, Ken, is consequences. As you say, they know what they're doing, and they don't care. The reason they don't care is they don't believe that their pension's online. They don't believe their freedom is online. They don't believe they'll even lose their job. They just don't think there's any consequence whatsoever.
Well, they're part of a religious group, effectively, a political religious group. And they know if they don't play the game, there are worse consequences among their friends than it is. They don't care about what the public who doesn't agree with them thinks. It's the fellow people in the tribe, what blowback they would get. I mean, look at what Mika and Joe are getting.
Oh my God.
Mar-a-Lago.
Oh my. All right, folks. I know this is the obvious, but let's talk about it for a second. I mean, they are the epitome of the joke that this is, that constantly, especially those two, Ken, who every morning, and when that's yeah, okay. I'm going all over the place because I was thinking about this. I was driving yesterday, and they went on, and if you look at before, so for those who don't know what the hell we're talking about, real quick, Joe and Mika, Morning Joe, who every day for years have been telling us he's an existential threat, he's Hitler, it's the end of democracy, all of that. They go to Mar-a-Lago last Friday, right, and bend the knee. And then, like Joe Biden said the day after the election, we're going to be fine. So that just tells you this whole thing they're telling you was all a lie. And this is why they're for sale. No, or is it MSNBC is for sale? And CNN is just collapsing under its own weight. Ken, Against the Clock, thank you for the call. Always appreciate it. Folks, we have to take the break, but I'll finish my thought on this. This is absolutely silly. And I'll fill you in on those 1,400 acres. And there's something else in Texas that's going on that's pretty interesting. So we'll be back in 2 and 10, folks. Stick with us.
Looking for guidance as you face a future on Social Security? It's hard to figure out on your own, but MedicareAdvisors.com is a completely independent insurance agency specializing in Medicare insurance planning. We work with the top insurance companies so we can offer our the best coverage for them. We design plans with a focus on low costs, which we combine with personalized insurance advice aimed at helping our clients make better informed decisions. Russ Swallow is a certified senior advisor and a licensed insurance advisor. He's been helping clients with their health insurance needs since 1970. And after a failed attempt at retirement, he created the Medicare Advisors in 2014. Russ concluded that since Medicare is health insurance, he might as well put his almost 50 years of health insurance experience to good use, as 75,000 people reach age 65 in Massachusetts every year, and they can use some help. Call Russ today at 508-831-0805. Put his years of personal experience to work for you as you try to unravel the complexities of Social Security.
Discover the Yatco difference today. At Yatco Fuel Service and Food Stations, excellence isn't just a goal, it's our commitment to you. We're dedicated to providing you with top-notch customer service and the finest products, making your life easier every step of the way. Celebrating over 30 years of fueling the community with 14 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts. Whether it's filling up your tank or grabbing a quick snack, we've got you covered. Yatco Fuel Service and Food Stations. Fueling your journey, fueling your life.
Polar Park is the place to play, so treat yourself to a private suite at the best ballpark in AAA. Suite rentals are the best way to enjoy a fully catered and climate-controlled experience at the park. Whether you choose to watch the game from inside of the suite or out in your seats, it's the ultimate experience for a special occasion. Visit WooSox.com or call 508-500-8888 to reserve your suite today.
All right, folks, welcome back to the fourth and final segment here on the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show at AM 830 WCRN Radio Central, from the center of the dial, the center of New England, and the center of information, AM 830 WCRN. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. For the remainder of the hour, you can get into the studio for two-way talk and conversation. And the other thought I had while I was on there with Ken in the last segment on that, it was of course Arizona, but let's not forget the pollster Ann Seltzer, right, who absolutely 7-point shift in Iowa, right? So this shocked everybody. Remember, right before the election, and Trump and Harris, he had a 4-point lead over her in September. Then she comes out with a 47-43 and a 7-point swing. So she's up because there's no money in polling if it's not close, right? Why do you need a pollster if it's so far apart? So this whole campaign, the first $1 billion campaign that we had, folks, it was a grift. It was a con job. If what they did in this campaign you did in business, you would be arrested. They'd be charging you. If you did a nationwide marketing campaign selling a lie and took money from people under that lie and false pretense, you've committed a criminal act. And the DNC in the Harris campaign lied because they had the internal polls. And by the way, why don't we use the internal polls if they're always so more accurate? But put a pin in that. This Seltzer, I mean, she had a reputation of being a pretty good pollster and always was pretty accurate as far as pollsters go. And then she comes out with this BS poll, and now she's retiring. And I've talked about this before in the last few shows. They were asking for money right up until election eve, and now they spend $1 billion and they're in the hole, 20 million more. And now they're still sending fundraising letters out, trying to get people to send in more money to get rid of the debt and to fight evil Trump. And there are people who can barely buy their food who were scrounging up 20, $50 to send into. It's criminal. It's disgusting. All right. 508-871-7000, join the conversation. So this whole thing that the Governor Abbott saying, hey, it's Governor Abbott and the Land Commissioner, Don Buckingham. The state purchased a 1,400-acre ranch. And this has been the track record with this guy the whole time. And he's doing what all governors should be doing. It's just saying we're going to fight you and we're going to resist you. And we're going to protect those illegal aliens who are committing crimes. Like being here, they've committed a crime. You get that, right? And so this is what all governors should be doing. So in an interview the other day, Buckingham said she was 100% on board with the Trump administration's pledge to get these criminals out of our country. And Buckingham had previously said she approved an easement within 24 hours of acquiring the Starr County land to let the Texas Facilities Commissioner, which is overseeing the state's border wall construction. Yeah, because guess what? Did you forget that? Texas went ahead and started building its own border wall. Governor Abbott went to all the ranches on the border, talked to them, made sure they were cooperating, gave them permission to be on the land and to build this wall. Anyway, to the Texas Facilities Commission, which is overseeing that border wall construction, to begin building the wall. And in the Fox interview, she said that move was followed by brainstorming with her team. And they figured that, hey, Trump administration probably needs some deportation facilities because we've got a lot of violent criminals and we need to round up and get the heck out of the country. So good for Texas, good for Abbott, good for Buckingham. Why isn't Governor Hobbs doing this? Why is Maura Healey saying, no, absolutely won't cooperate? Well, here's the thing. You cannot cooperate like you can just not lift a finger. Although, again, I think that becomes a gray area as to whether or not if you're impeding, if you're helping to conceal, you could find yourself being arrested by a federal agent. But as Holman said, if you're not going to do your job, if you're not going to uphold the oath you took when you got sworn in as the governor, much less the attorney general, then get out of the way. Because it's not your job. You don't have the authority to stop them from doing their job. And now that they will have an administration, and when I say administration, I mean Trump. But with Trump under the executive branch comes the Department of Justice, the FBI, Homeland Security, Border Patrol, ICE, who all get their directives and their marching orders from the Oval. So now you're going to have an administration that is taking the cuffs off of the agencies and telling them to do the job that they were hired to do the job with the job description that matches the title, to matches the salary you're getting, to match the training you received. Go do your job. And for the most part, these border agents, their job was not to be administrative pencil pushers, but to secure the border. And Trump made it clear, and he confirmed it on Truth Social, that he will use military assets to protect the border, meaning that one of the first things he'll do when he reinstates a lot of his executive orders and does away with a lot of the policies and directives from Biden administration to these people is he will use our military to accomplish securing the border. The Trump train is coming, folks. It is coming. And meantime, by the way, you've got paperwork that's been submitted for a lot of these border agents and ICE agents and various agencies to retire, they've reached out to ask for the paperwork back. Guys and women who have retired are asking to come back in.
Hi, this is
And Holman's even saying that people would say retired from the police department, they put their 20 in or whatever. Now, once Trump won, they're reaching out to Border Patrol and ICE and HHS and saying, is there a position? Look at all this experience I have. I carried a gun. I carried a badge. I'm here. I'll come work. The morale has increased because prior to Trump getting elected, morale was in the crapper. And they weren't allowed to do their job. Matter of fact, they had to be concerned about keeping their job if they tried to do their job. Talk about consequences. Well, let's talk about the whipping incident. Border Patrol, the horse-mounted patrol, who did nothing wrong. They were doing their job. Horses have been used for crowd control and for this method for as long as we've had horses, and we learned how to ride them. And they were using the bridle and the straps like they do with the horse to control the horse. But some idiot says they were whipping these migrants. And even the photographer who took the photos that went viral, he came out and said, no, they weren't. They were just controlling their horse. But it didn't stop Biden from condemning them. Alexander Mayorkas from doing what he did in throwing Merrick Garland. It was horrible what they did to those horse-mounted border agents. They should be made whole. They were tied to a desk. They were treated you know the story, man. And that's all ending. And the morale has gone up. So look, there will be a mass deportation program here. And I happened to have a conversation with someone here illegal last night. I had the conversation last night. They didn't come here illegally last night. They've been here for a while, but it's one of these, the person I'm talking to came through Coyote, and I asked a bunch. I was curious, how'd you get here? What did you go through? Where did they take you? Did you have to pay up front? Do you have to pay it now? Where do you work? How do you live? This person isn't taking any kind of, or has not taken any kind of assistance, hotel, anything like that. They had a job. They had to go find one. And they're not in Massachusetts. This is down in the New York area. I was there over the weekend and was able to chat with them last night again. And they're concerned. And I asked, well, what's going in the community? Because they live in an area, in a neighborhood down there where there's a lot of illegals. But they're working. They're working on construction crews and landscaping crews and even stores. And they get paid in cash, but they have bank accounts because banks like TD Bank will open a bank account without being a citizen. And then you've got states like New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, who will issue driver's license. So now they're able to rent apartments and all that, but they're very concerned. Now, I don't think they're going after this guy real quick because he's never committed a crime and he's kept his nose clean. He hasn't taken any money. But he told me that many people in the community are saying if they get a notice, they're going to Mexico to avoid the hearing.
Hey, I'm here.
But hey, we got to wrap up the show here on the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. Stay tuned for Frankie Boyer. She's up next on AM Central Radio WCRN. Joe out.